Hello? Can you hear me? I am searching, whether it's the cities, the quiet suburbs, or in the beauty of nature. I will find it. In the crevices. In the darkness. Welcome to Lost or Found.
For 40 years, the Silver Bridge spanned the Ohio River, linking Point Pleasant, West Virginia with Canaga, Ohio, linking those 2 points until 5:02 yesterday afternoon.
The Silver Bridge, so called because of the aluminum paint covering it, was packed with rush hour traffic and holiday shoppers, all sitting and waiting on a red light. Then there was a loud cracking sound, and one of the towers began to violently twist. Within minutes, 3 spans collapsed into the 43-degree river.
At least 57 automobiles and trucks were spilled into the icy waters of the Ohio.
A year prior to the incident, sightings of a strange winged creature with red eyes was reported by the residents of Point Pleasant. Ironically, after the incident, the Mothman seemed to vanish. Now, the film that brought the Mothman to the big screen came out in 2002 called The Mothman Prophecies, starring Richard Gere.
911? Yeah, there's been an accident.
You didn't see it, did you?
See what? What did you see? I saw something that I cannot describe. What happened to my wife? I need to know what this is. Do not be afraid.
Now, the Mothman was reported in other such events as Chernobyl, days prior to the World Trade Center attacks of 9/11, and the tsunami in Japan of 2011, and even in the events of 1926 in China when the Yingti Dam collapsed and 40 billion gallons of water went downstream and flooded villages, causing 15,000 deaths in the area. Now, these events gave Mothman another name, the Harbinger of Doom. So, what does this have to do with the movie we're going to review? Well, let me ask you a question. What would you do if you saw those big, red, glowing eyes?
We encountered something tonight. Something weird. I felt like Dakota was talking to me. Like in my thoughts. I know that's crazy. I just don't know anymore.
Mothman 2022 was written and directed by Joshuabrucker. The cast included Lizfletcher as Amanda Mason, Christopher Curiati as Tim Sellers, and Cheney Moreau as Indrid Cold. Amanda and her boyfriend Tim decided to make a documentary surrounding the case of her missing brother Dakota. As they began to cover the case through a series of interviews and items that were retrieved that belonged to her brother, they soon find themselves being warned to cease the investigation into the search of her brother, which leads down to the path, yes, to the harbinger of doom himself, the Mothman. So what are my initial thoughts of Mothman 22? Well, it begins with Amanda interviewing her parents, and we soon find out, well, Amanda is one person not to be counted on. However, her boyfriend Tim agrees with her to pursue the answers of what happened to her missing brother Dakota. Now, eventually, these interviews lead to a conversation with Dakota's girlfriend at the time, Kennedy, which she reveals, well, there was these big red eyes that her and Dakota saw one night, which drove Dakota into, well, let's just say a pathway towards the Mothman. Now, the red eyes of the Mothman plays an integral part in this movie. While we did not see much of the physical form of the Mothman, but his presence is felt throughout the film. Now, what would a Mothman film be without the mention of Point Pleasant? Well, Dakota, in his obsession to find answers into what he saw, decides to travel to Point Pleasant. While he's there, he gets to meet with certain people who kind of give him a warning of, you saw it, now you have to survive it, and very eerie messages from people who actually seen, the Mothman. Eventually, Dakota sits down with the author, who is a specialist in the Mothman legend. The author gives him advice, tells him to basically avoid the certain voices he's going to start hearing, but instead of ignoring the voices, well, Dakota kind of listens to him, and we start revealing a bit more about exactly what happened to Dakota. Now, for those who are Mothman fanatics, this film does shy away from the physical appearance of the Mothman. Now, I know this is due to the low budget of the film, but what we end up getting is certain like flashes and glimpses of the Mothman towards the end of the film. Now, one interesting character in this film was Indrid Cold, who we see on occasions basically give Amanda and Tim warnings to cease the search of Dakota and the deeper dive into the Mothman, which I think was an interesting aspect of this film. So, what are my final thoughts of Mothman 2022? Well, I'll be honest with you. I always tend to favor small independent films. This one, for example, only had a $12,000 budget, but I still find this film as found for many reasons. Having a restricted budget, they avoided bringing the Mothman to life with bad CGI. Instead, they focus on the story aspect of what would a person actually do if they came face to face with the Mothman. For example, how it affects a person's psyche and the drive to find answers into this confrontation. Once we knew the Mothman was involved, I really like the fact that this film altered from Amanda's search for her brother in the case to actually witnessing what Dakota was going through and his obsession searching for answers exactly why was the Mothman after him or appeared to him. Now, Amanda and Tim were very good characters in this film. Indrid Cold was a unique, creepy character. If I do have a knock on this film, is I wanted more of Indrid Cold. However, this film does have flaws. The answers to how Dakota disappeared and Amanda as well, I understand it's because of the budget of the film, but I felt a little bit like something was taken away from the film in the way they disappeared. Now, some of the acting fell off a bit, especially the lead detective who was in charge of the case in search of Dakota. But this film is a lot different than other Mothman films because they don't rely on the bad CGI. They have no CGI. And it's more about the story aspect of what exactly would a person do and would they become obsessed with searching for answers if they came in contact with the Mothman. Mothman 2022 is currently streaming on Tubi. Yes, I wish Tubi would eventually sponsor me because I promote a lot of their movies and their channel very often. Well, their streaming service. But yes, it is a watch, especially for Mothman fans. So we will continue in our next episode in this series of urban legends that we will be looking at found footage films that have ties to urban legends. So I hope you enjoy this one. Let me know if you see the Mothman, because if you do, well, good luck. Anyways, this is JR, Horror Fiend TV, Lost or Found. Peace.